Shut up, compressor. Okay, so last night my Panasonic V770, the camera that is currently filming all this stuff, decided to shit the bed. It basically stopped focusing or zooming. Just turn it on, it would just be a big blur, wouldn't do anything. And then within a few seconds it would say an error has occurred. Please turn off and turn on again. So I did that about 50 times and nothing changed. And I got to spend this morning frantically searching for if I had to replace this, what I would replace it with, how much I wanted to spend, and all that kind of stuff. And then early afternoon I came out and on a whim flipped it on and it worked just fine. I have no idea what's happening. It may not be long for this world, or I may have it for another 3 or 4 years. We'll find out. Anyway, that put me a bit behind, or a bit sort of off track on filming the P-47M, so we'll catch up with what's going on with the actual jug itself in a few minutes here. But first, it's time to finally get around to tackling the 8 blast tubes. Now, these took pretty much every sort of holding grippy thing that I have lying around in order to clamp them in a way that I can spray them all. And it is very frustrating that Master and all the other various turned barrel manufacturers make these in brass and not some sort of silver material, because then they could just be drop fit. But they're not, they're brass. So yeah, first they need to be primed with a metal primer to keep this shit from just sliding off. Then they need to be painted black. Then they need to be painted some sort of metallic. Well, I'm going to try, I don't know if this will work, we'll find out in a minute. I'm going to try to combine those first 2 steps by mixing some Mr. Metal Primer from Guns and some MRP Black, along with our good friend, Mr. Leveling Thinner. Now, my hope with this is a couple-fold. First, I want to save paint layers if I can, because the fit between these barrels and the gun fairings on the front of the P-47 are pretty tight, and so the more layers you add, the more shit gets scraped around, blah, 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 and it's no fun for anybody. Second, it's always really fun spraying a clear primer. We just had a whole episode on clear primer. But it's always fun spraying a clear primer on something tiny where you can't really see how much you've covered, how much you haven't, you know. So hopefully the black will make that a bit more apparent. And also just, honestly, straight laziness. Why do 2 coats when you can just get away with 1 and then you can move right on to the metal? So that is my hope. And for this mission, I'm enlisting the good old PS290. And I'll note that this isn't, I don't think this is going to be like a strong black, so we'll see how much of this we can get away with. This is just air right now, just trying to encourage a little bit of drying action. Something that's still going to take some real black to come in afterwards. This is not enough. And so I tell you what, you don't want to sit here and watch me spray the exact same 8 sticks the exact same way, do you? So I'm going to hop off, and we're going to come back and we're painting these a different color. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished spraying these with the Mr. Metal Primer and black combo. We've got them coated. Now it's time to come back in with some just regular black. For this, I'm just going with MRP 5, nothing fancy. Okay, so we've got all the barrels painted black. Good to go. Now, for coloring them up, I'm going to use a bit of this Gaia Notes Premium Mirror Chrome, and just to dirty it up a little bit, a few drops of MRP Light Arctic Gray. Lead Arctic Gray's main goal is to not have this look like a mirror chrome. More of an oxidized aluminum. Now, why am I not using K colors on this? Well, I think I've used a lot of K colors on this build, and I just want to do something different, basically. And one of the things I love about this Gaia stuff, just like the K colors, is how it's literally so fine you can't see the pigments. So it looks like metal. And I don't want it to be fully chrome looking because, at least on the shots I have of the 56Ms, blast tubes look kind of worn. They don't look dirty, they don't look burned, but they're not all shiny as hell either, so I guess that's probably because they had a lot of rounds fired through them. But this is just a nice, simple by the way, even though this bottle of shit is expensive as hell, it sprays so beautifully. No going back over gently to build up opacity, none of that. It's just like yoink. You want it to be silver, now you're silver. The other cool thing is because this stuff is nasty in terms of ingredients, it's got MEK in it. So here's the here's the ingredient list: methyl ethyl ketone, methyl isobutyl ketone, isopropyl alcohol, isobutanol, ethylene glycol, monobutyl ether, toluene, and mineral spirits. So it's got like all the solvents in it. I bet you could probably put enamels in here. I bet you could probably put alcohol-friendly acrylics like Tamiya in here. You can put lacquers in here. Anything. So it's expensive, but it's got a lot of possibilities. I bet you could probably put some yellow in there, and you could get a really, really cool gold tone out of it if you really tried. The problem is it's so expensive. It's like $20 a bottle or something. That experimenting with it is kind of annoying. But anyway, it did a great job with these blast tubes. So let's kind of gather the flock here and see what we got. So there we go. Nice and pretty. Now to clean this sucker out and get back to the jug proper. Okay, so we're back to the jug, and as you can see, the underside is definitely coming along. We're getting to the point where I need to start adding essentially the environmental weathering. So this is fluid leaks and exhaust stains and all that kind of stuff. And in my experience over bare metal surfaces in the past, just trying to pull this off with oils and enamels is a sucker's game. They usually prefer to have some sort of base to build from. So we're going to be going in and we're going to be adding things like some black in here, or some very dark brown, gray, black, whatever, for the ejector chutes. We're going to be adding, when I look at the reference photos, these little vents here, see shit coming out of them. The waste gates up here, there's a lot of buildup, it seems. Not super heavy exhaust stain, but like fluid drip and spill and leak back down there. And on about half of the P-47M shots where you get a view of it, this lower portion of the fuselage, right behind the cowl, seems to be where a lot of fluids leak and streak down the fuselage. But one thing that we still need to really pay some attention to is the hood for the Supercharger exhaust. And this basically got superheated and looked like burned metal, essentially. That's basically what it is. When invasion stripes were painted over it, it cooked the paint. When it was bare, it tended to get this sort of like dirty brown metallic color. So, you know, usually that would be burnt iron, yay. But I want to build a bit of character into it first before we do that. I tried a little bit with some of the K-Colors oxidized black, but it really just didn't work. Looks too kind of gold to me, so we're going to go a different direction. And it's going to begin with some NATO black, which is black, but like a brown black. I'm just realizing you'll probably benefit if I zoom this in. Pay no attention up here. This is... There are some things where you just have to let go or else you never finish the skit. Yikes. Kind of the starting point for that. Now we need some, where was it? Next we're going to add a little bit of chestnut brown. This is a Warsaw Pact 5-tone camo color that you'd see on a MiG-23 or something. But just another color option in the box. Help if I kept it in frame, right? All right. We're gonna do one more color. And then we're gonna have some fun. Okay, for our last little trip down color lane, we're going to use some sand gild. This stuff right here, you may remember it from when it came into play on the tires. I have a tiny little bit more of this in the bottle, so let's go ahead and as we'll get started up here with the waste gauge, right? Okay. A little bit of wastegate action. Okay, now we're going to switch back to the PS267. And this time we're doing a mix of burnt iron and NATO black. Here we go. And a little bit more PSI. Okay. I think that just about works. Yay. So there you can see sort of the darker burned metal look that we're going for. Nothing too flashy, just different.